Standard SP4 is about two-way tables. Number 1, a sample of 85 students were surveyed about their school lunch. Of the girls surveyed, 19 brought a packed lunch and 26 purchased lunch at the cafeteria. Of the 40 boys surveyed, 16 brought a packed lunch. Part A, construct a two-way frequency table to display the data. So I'm going to fill in the information I know. I know that there was a total of 85 students, and so that's my total, which goes in the bottom right corner. I'm going to go ahead and fill in some information. I know we're talking about girls and boys, and whether they packed a lunch or whether they purchased a lunch, which I'm just going to call it buying a lunch. So of the girls surveyed, 19 brought a lunch and 26 purchased lunch. Of the 40 boys surveyed, 16 brought a packed lunch. So now I need to fill in the rest of this information just by adding and subtracting. So I know this, 19 plus 16 is 35. I also know 19 plus 26, the girls, are 45. I also know that in this total on the right column, that 35 plus 50 gives a total of 85. And in this buying row, 26 plus 24 gives a total of 50. Which type of lunch was more popular? Well, I'm just going to look over here and say, okay, 35 packed a lunch, 50 bought a lunch. So, purchasing lunch was more popular because there were more. 50 is greater than 35 that packed a lunch. Number 3, Leah asked 65 students at school which subject they prefer. Use the information given to complete the two-way frequency table. We know the total was 65. We know that those who prefer music were 34 and 13 were 8th graders, so that means 21 were 9th graders. We can also find that the total students who preferred music were 34 plus 31 must have preferred art to get a total of 65. The 9th graders were 21 plus 24, which is 45. So that means if 45 are 9th graders out of 65 students, then 20 were 8th graders. And 8th graders, 13 preferred music, plus must have been 7 preferring art to get a total of 20 8th graders. Now I have a little question added right here. What percent of those who prefer music? So often it's saying of some group. So of those who prefer music are in 8th grade. So I'm going to look at the total music. It's this column, and the total is 34, and 13 of those are 8th graders. So I'm just going to get a percentage here. I'm going to divide and get 0.382 ... and that equals about 38%. Part B, what does the number in the top right corner represent? Well, that's the total 8th graders. And then part C, do more students prefer music or art? Well, 34 prefer music, 31 prefer art, so more prefer music than art. On the next page, in a poll, 150 students were asked if they prefer camping or going to the beach during their summer vacations and their gender. The data are shown in the two-way frequency table. What is the relative frequency of students who are going to the beach among all students polled? Now this one's worded kind of funny. Among all students polled would be your total. So that'd be our denominator. And so the numerator are those who prefer going to the beach. So our total is 150, and the total who prefer going to the beach is 90. And 90 divided by 150 is 0.6, which is 60%. Number 4, Jordan asked 100 students at her school if they prefer cats or dogs. She also recorded their gender. The data are shown in the two-way frequency table. Based on the table, which of the following statements are true? A part says boys are less likely than girls to prefer cats. So I'm just going to go through and check each of these. Okay, so let's see. For boys, those that prefer cats, let me write it this way. How many prefer cats out of the boys? Well, there are 46 boys, and 8 of those prefer cats. That's 0.173 ... or 17%. For the girls, we're looking at the cats out of all the girls. 24 prefer cats out of 54 girls. That's 0.4 repeating, which is about 44%. So boys are less likely to prefer cats, only 17% compared to 44%. The next one says girls are more likely than boys to prefer dogs. Well, let's think about this one. This is choice B. The girls that prefer dogs, out of 54 girls, 30 prefer dogs, which is 0.5 repeating, which is about 56%. Whereas boys that prefer dogs, there were 46 boys and 38 preferred dogs. That's a pretty high number, you can already tell. And it is 0.826, which is about 83%. So the statement was girls are more likely than boys to prefer dogs, but 83% of boys prefer dogs, so that's not true. C says boys are equally likely as girls to prefer dogs. Well, more prefer dogs, so that's not true. D says a student is more likely to prefer dogs to cats. Well, the students who prefer dogs are 68. The students that prefer cats are 32. So this is true. E says a girl is more likely to prefer dogs to cats. Well, out of 54 girls, 30 prefer dogs, 24 prefer cats, so that is not true. No, sorry. Let me restate that. 30 prefer dogs and 24 prefer cats, so that is true. The last statement, a boy is more likely to prefer dogs to cats. Well, looking over here at this row for boys, 38 prefer dogs, 8 prefer cats, so that is also a true statement.